So one of the questions we asked ourselves is what would happen if we have space and time for our youngest learners in the school to engage in projects that matter to them and use tools and design processes that they own and that they can work on over time. What would that make our upper elementary program look like? What would our students look like? What skills and strategies and dispositions would they have from an experience like this in early childhood? And so one of the things we did last year was something called Design Days, and it looked different in our early childhood format than it did in our upper elementary grades. In our upper elementary grades, our students were asked to partner with an older and a younger student, and they had a problem to solve, and the problem was if they had 30 minutes to spend doing anything they wanted to do in school, what would they do? Another question they could answer was if they could create any opportunity at the playground, equipment, space, what would they create? So students could choose from either of those questions, and many of our older students chose the time question as it's a little more abstract, and then some of the younger students chose the more concrete question, and what would they build to have fun? What I learned from that process, we used David Kelly's design thinking process, and we realized that without a lot of practice, it's hard for kids to sometimes design and to go through a process of not getting it right. It was great practice on design day, and at the end of the day, I think every student would tell you it was one of their best days of school. Part of it was because they were allowed to work through an idea that mattered to them, and they were able to build a design process and to actually create a prototype at the end, which is something they could share and own and be really proud of. My expectation of having an early childhood program where students have that space and time early on and they get comfortable using the tools for prototyping is that we would see more confident learners entering our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade programs and our 1st and 2nd grade programs. Learners that when you say, hey, we're having design day, they understand what design means. They understand what that process can look like. They understand that design can solve a real problem, and they understand the value of prototyping. And so it builds a sense of creativity all through their learning. It doesn't just have to be on design day. It can happen in a reader's workshop where students are going deeply into learning about a certain strategy in reading and how they have to practice that and get it right and continue to work on it. It can also happen in music where students are always trying new things. They can design and say, hey, I want to write a song, I want to create a dance. For me, the value of it for students as they grow older is that it builds initiative, it builds a sense of possibility, and it builds a sense of resilience and grit. That I know that learning is not about getting it right the first time, that it's a process, and that I can actually own that process and I can move forward in terms of learning how to get it getting the solution to where I want it to be.